On Earth, there are places so dangerous that humans should never enter alone. They are shaped by extreme environments, harsh natural conditions, and unpredictable risks. Whether hidden deep in forests, lost in remote oceans, or isolated far from civilization, they exist beyond safe limits. Each location reminds us how fragile humans are in the face of nature. In this video, we explore the most dangerous places humans should never face alone. La Rinconada exists as a paradox between extreme altitude and people enduring inhuman conditions just for a chance to dig gold. This place sits nearly 17,000 feet above sea level, so high that most human bodies cannot adapt naturally. Atmospheric pressure is only 50% of sea level, causing dizziness, confusion, or blackouts for those unacclimated. La Rinconada lies atop the Pacific Ring of Fire, constantly shaken by minor earthquakes and intense geological activity. The land and rivers nearby are heavily contaminated with mercury, turning this town into a trade-off between survival and gold. Fairy Meadows Road was cut along vertical cliffs at over 11,000 feet, lying in a remote and rugged mountainous region. Although only about 10 miles long, the route takes more than 2 hours to complete due to steep grades and extreme terrain. The road averages just 8 feet wide, with no guardrails, making vehicles feel suspended between sheer cliffs and bottomless drops. Some turns are as sharp as 120 degrees, requiring drivers to reverse several times while balanced on cliff edges. Elevation rises from about 8,000 to 11,000 feet, causing dizziness, fatigue, and sharp cold air against the skin. The terrain consists of weathered shale, highly prone to landslides, where unstable ground often threatens to slip or collapse without warning. Lingpaishi Road is a brutal mountain route, carved into steep cliff faces with sharp inclines and extremely limited driving space. Although only 500 feet long, it's world famous for a difficulty level that vastly outweighs its short distance. The road twists like a coiled wire, with zigzag turns that demand constant steering input in an almost motionless crawl. The rocky slope is bare and jagged, making it feel more like climbing with a car than driving on solid ground. Cutting the road into the mountains exposed large geological cracks, causing stone faces to visibly shake as vehicles pass. With tightly packed hairpin bends and unforgiving terrain, it has earned the name the shortest but hardest road in the world. Tiger Leaping Gorge is one of the deepest and narrowest gorges on Earth, with cliff walls rising like massive vertical stone walls. The vertical difference between the river and mountaintops reaches around 12,500 feet, making visitors feel swallowed by stone. The river is compressed into a tight corridor, creating powerful flow and pressure strong enough to sweep away massive boulders. Located within the active Himalayan tectonic zone, the area constantly faces threats of spontaneous rockfalls both day and night. With steep terrain, violent currents, and unstable geology, the gorge is considered extremely dangerous for any kind of tourism activity. Come to Masaya, where you can stand just feet from a living lava lake, and watch its red glow move beneath your feet. Masaya is Nicaragua's most active volcano, releasing toxic gases almost continuously since the 16th century, making the ground feel constantly alive. The crater drops about 300 feet and spans over 1,600 feet, forming a massive fire pit visible from far away. This is a basalt volcano where low-viscosity lava flows easily, erupting powerfully without the explosive blasts of stratovolcanoes. Fractures around the crater help scientists track magma pressure, while acid rain allows only toxin-resistant plants to survive nearby. Historically called the mouth of hell, Masaya leaves a barren landscape of burned rock and poisonous fumes after violent eruptions. Nyiragongo is one of the few volcanoes on Earth with a continuously active lava lake that has lasted for many decades without interruption. The lava lake once reached nearly 2,000 feet deep, glowing beneath the crater before collapsing violently and triggering a devastating eruption. In 2002, its lava destroyed thousands of buildings and forced over 120,000 people to flee within only a few hours. Nyiragongo's lava can move at nearly 40 miles per hour, making it one of the fastest known lava flows on the planet. Helicopters have been used to measure the lake's depth because the ground constantly shifts and the extreme heat prevents close access. From the crater's rim, the view of glowing, swirling lava layers is both terrifying and hypnotic, like watching the Earth's core from above. Husseini Hanging Bridge is one of the most dangerous suspension bridges on Earth, hanging between sheer rock walls like a line between life and death. Located near the collision zone of the Asian and Indian tectonic plates, frequent tremors make each crossing even more dangerous. The bridge spans about 600 feet, but gaps of over 2 feet between planks force people to leap while balancing. It was originally built by locals using ropes and wood, without following any formal engineering or safety standards. Beneath the bridge flows a freezing glacial river, fed by ancient melting ice, creating a view that is both stunning and survival-threatening. After years of decay and storms, this bridge stands as an ultimate test of human courage against an unforgiving natural world. Within the United States, Kilauea black sand beaches formed through direct interaction between active volcanic lava flows and the surrounding coastal environment. Unlike typical sediment beaches, the sand here is constantly renewed as fresh lava cools rapidly and breaks into fine basalt fragments. The beach surface consists of unevenly distributed basalt grains created by the continuous addition of young geological material over time. The shoreline does not remain fixed, instead changing shape as deposition and erosion processes occur simultaneously. The sandy foundation lacks long-term stability and can shift easily under the influence of waves and ocean currents. Geomorphological analysis confirms this is one of the few beaches on Earth with an extremely young geological age. Mount Hua looks like a vertical rock wall rising in central China, known for its extremely steep natural slopes. The mountain is made of ancient granite dated to about 80 million years old, shaped by strong tectonic movements. Jagged fault lines have split the terrain into steep cracks, hundreds of feet deep, making direct climbs nearly impossible. Mount Hua ranks among the 5 sacred mountains of Taoism in China, closely tied to beliefs about immortality. Some ancient structures over 1,000 years old are built right into the rock faces, preserving historic design. Several paths consist only of narrow wooden planks fixed to cliffs, requiring visitors to wear harnesses and move cautiously. Vozrozhdeniya Island was once an island between Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, now widely known for becoming connected to the mainland through environmental change. During the 20th century, surrounding inland water levels dropped by more than 80%, exposing large areas of hardened seabed. The present landscape has turned into a flat, expanding landmass, with almost no natural vegetation covering the surface. During the Cold War period, this area was used for large-scale secret biological research programs. More than 26,000 square miles of water surface disappeared within a few decades, considered one of the most serious environmental disasters of the 20th century. Kuandinsky Bridge, also known as Vitim Bridge, is an abandoned railway bridge on the Baikal-Amur main line, standing isolated in the extreme cold of Siberia. The bridge is about 0.4 miles long and 6 feet wide, with no guardrails and decaying wooden planks laid over an aging steel structure. The surrounding landscape is completely empty, with no settlements, no people, no phone signal, no lights, and no navigation markers of any kind. Beneath the bridge, an icy river flows violently all year long, without permanent rescue services, making any accident immediately life-threatening. The bridge was built in the late 1980s as part of the Baikal-Amur mainline project, but was never officially put into operation. After more than 30 years without maintenance, the rotting surface has turned every crossing into a slow, dangerous balance between survival and fatal error. Los Caracoles Pass is world-famous for its series of about 30 steep hairpin turns stacked like a giant snail shell across the Andes. Driving through these bends feels like entering a vertical stone maze, where every human reflex is constantly tested. Located at about 10,500 feet, the pass makes you tire quickly, lose oxygen, slow your reactions, and risk losing mental control. Its terrain was shaped by the powerful uplift of the Andes, forcing humans to bend the road along the mountain instead of flattening it. The surrounding landscape is almost completely empty, with only grey rock, white snow, and a deep sense of cold pressing inward. Since 2010, international adventure travel media and mountain driving communities have recognized it as one of the most dangerous mountain passes on Earth. Congo River is not just a waterway, it is an ancient living structure with the power to govern life and erase all traces of humans. With depths reaching 720 feet and massive discharge, the river does not just drown. It crushes anything caught at the wrong moment. Stretching nearly 3,000 miles, it slices through rainforest, forming a wet, narrow corridor where retreat is not an option. In the deep black mud, catfish over 7 feet long glide silently through water, stripped of both light and oxygen. Formed by continental collision and collapse, the unstable riverbed can shift or explode like a wild artery without warning. During the full expedition, from 1874 to 1877, 132 people died from malaria, exhaustion, or were swept away and never found. Sundarbans spans about 4,000 square miles and is the largest mangrove forest on Earth, where land and water blend into uncontrolled chaos. It is the only place on Earth where wild tigers live in salty water, hunt while swimming, and hide within swampy forest. Each year, this region absorbs and releases millions of tons of carbon, but remains extremely fragile to rising seas and constant erosion. The forest was formed from thousands of years of river sediment, but the soft, salty ground ruins buildings through decay, collapse, or lightning. Some areas become fully submerged just 15 minutes after tide surges, with no warning and no place to seek safety. With up to 60 human deaths per year from tiger attacks, Sundarbans remains one of the most dangerous wild zones near any human settlement. Chernobyl Exclusion Zone stands as a living monument to human catastrophe, where the most severe nuclear reactor explosion of the 20th century occurred. Even decades later, some locations still record radiation levels tens of thousands of times above what is safe for humans. Trees grow in distorted forms with bent trunks and uneven rings, caused by long-term genetic damage from radiation exposure. Even though large animals have returned, the soil remains poor in microbes, causing decomposition to proceed at an extremely slow pace. More than 130,000 people were permanently evacuated in 1986, leaving entire settlements completely abandoned. On cold concrete walls, radioactive dust lingers as faint layers, marking the final traces of a civilization abruptly erased. Poison Garden is the most dangerous botanical garden in the United Kingdom, where every beautiful flower hides a silent risk of death. Aconitum plants here contain aconitine, a deadly neurotoxin that can kill someone in just a few hours with a tiny amount. To prevent accidents, the entire garden is enclosed with iron fences almost 13 feet tall and monitored constantly. More than 100 poisonous plants grow here, many of which are banned in most countries around the world. The garden was opened in 2005 by a duchess who wanted to awaken fear through the deadly beauty of nature. Visitors must sign a waiver before entering, as one person was hospitalized after unintentionally coming into contact with a toxic plant. Oymyakon sits deep within the Siberian interior, nearly 600 miles from any sea, making it unreachable by warm oceanic air masses. The valley's unique shape forms a natural cold trap where dense frigid air settles and remains locked close to the ground for extended periods. Beneath the village lies a permafrost layer reaching nearly 3,000 feet, complicating every aspect of construction, burial, and underground utility systems. Residents live by the limited light cycle, waking with the sunrise around 10 o'clock and retreating indoors before 3 in the afternoon. Oymyakon stands as one of the planet's harshest inhabited places, a cold desert where human survival depends on relentless adaptation and mental endurance. Yungas Road is a terrifying mountain route clinging to vertical cliffs more than 2,000 feet above the deep valley below. In 1983, a deadly bus crash that killed over 100 people turned it into a symbol of death. The scenery is both breathtaking and dangerous, with fog, waterfalls and rockfalls happening inches from passing vehicles. The downhill bike tour stretches over 40 miles, with a height drop of more than 11,000 feet and draws thousands of thrill seekers each year. The road was built in the 1930s by prisoners of war and includes sections only 10 feet wide with no guardrails. Every sharp turn feels like a gamble with life and death, where the abyss waits just beyond the edge. The Drakensberg Traverse follows a sharp mountain spine for over 140 miles, with an average elevation of about 9,800 feet above sea level. Vertical basalt cliffs, formed millions of years ago, create sheer rocky edges that are slick and lack any protective rails. Some sections require crossing loose stones and holding onto old ropes, where one mistake can send hikers down cliffs over 500 feet deep. Due to the extreme remoteness, shelters are only caves or temporary tents, with no permanent support infrastructure anywhere. Many steep sections force hikers to climb rope ladders over 100 feet high, dangling against smooth and wet rock faces. In this merciless terrain, missing persons have remained undiscovered for weeks as the landscape erases both footprints and voices. Off the coast of Belize, the Great Blue Hole appears as a giant ocean sinkhole over 400 feet deep in the turquoise Caribbean Sea. It was once a dry limestone cave formed more than 15,000 years ago before collapsing when sea levels rose. Steep rock walls and fading light after 100 feet create a dark, suffocating space that feels like diving into the unknown. Below 300 feet, the water has no oxygen and is filled with hydrogen sulfide gas that can kill all living creatures. The Blue Hole dive is rated extremely difficult and only for expert divers with more than 25 deep-sea dives. So never dive here alone. It can cause disorientation, panic, and even stop you from ever reaching the surface again. Haiku Stairs, also known as the Stairway to Heaven, is a metal staircase climbing a steep mountain ridge and remains one of the most haunting places in the United States. The metal stairway has about 4,000 steps, rising nearly 3,000 feet, without any safety railings on the sides. On both sides are vertical drops over 1,000 feet, and when fog appears, the whole staircase seems to vanish into thin air. Haiku Stairs includes extreme inclines with some sections almost vertical, giving you the feeling of climbing into the sky. After it was closed in 1987, all maintenance stopped, and the stairs have slowly decayed from weather and time. Despite the ban and risk of being fined, over 3,000 people a year still sneak up, using headlamps and gloves to grip the steel. Kolyma Highway is one of the most haunting and well-known roads in Russia, stretching over 1,200 miles across the frozen Far East of Siberia. The road stands as a historical reminder of the brutality of Stalin's forced labor system. It is the longest graveyard in the world. The name Road of Bones comes from the hundreds of thousands who died during construction and were buried beneath the roadbed due to frozen ground. The highway passes through one of the coldest inhabited places on Earth. Each year, hundreds of thrill-seeking drivers try to cross it in winter, sometimes getting stuck in deep snow for a whole week. When traveling here, guides warn visitors to bring support vehicles, insulated tents, portable heaters, and satellite navigation gear. Come to a place where a single wrong breath can cost a human life, known as the Mount Everest Death Zone in Nepal. This deadly zone begins above 26,000 feet, where oxygen levels drop to only about 30% compared to sea level. At this altitude, low air pressure drains the body rapidly, causing vital organs to fail within hours without additional oxygen support. The landscape here is almost entirely made of ice, snow, bare rock, and relentless winds that scream across the mountain without pause. Many climbers who survived passing through the death zone later described terrifying hallucinations caused by oxygen starvation and extreme disorientation. According to records, more than 300 people have died on Everest, with nearly 200 bodies still remaining because recovery is impossible. Welcome to Skipper's Canyon Road in New Zealand, a place where even the calmest drivers feel their hands start to shake. Built in the 19th century, this narrow road is only about 6 feet wide and has no guardrails for safety. It was completed in 1890 by gold miners using picks, shovels, and explosives, one of the riskiest engineering feats of that time. During rainy seasons, erosion and soft ground often cause small landslides, making it dangerous for even skilled drivers. The road is so risky that rental car companies refuse to insure vehicles driven here without a guide. Surrounded by wild grey rock and deep cliffs, this place has become a survival adventure symbol for fearless thrill seekers. Bangor Fort is one of the most mysterious and haunted places in India, often called the most terrifying fort in Asia. Built in 1573, the fort was once a major center of power, trade, and religious activity for many centuries. According to legend, it was cursed by a black sorcerer, causing the entire city to collapse in just one night. Set among the dry Aravalli Hills, its moss-covered grey ruins create a cold and lifeless post-apocalyptic landscape. Famous for its eerie past, the site is also under a rare government ban that forbids entry after sunset. Nanga Parbat, meaning the Naked Mountain, is one of the most dangerous peaks on Earth, located in Pakistan's Himalayas. The mountain is known as the Killer Mountain because of its high death rate in climbing history, especially in the 20th century. Its fatality rate ranges from 20 to 22%, meaning about 21 deaths for every 100 successful climbs. Before modern equipment, many expeditions ended in tragedy due to avalanches, glaciers, lack of oxygen, or extreme cold. The terrain is extremely harsh, with glaciers, deep drops, steep snow slopes, and weather that can change within minutes. Many climbers try in summer, but storms and lightning still make the climb incredibly difficult and dangerous. Boiling Lake in Dominica is one of the most dangerous natural wonders on Earth, hidden deep within a wild and mysterious tropical forest. The lake is about 200 feet wide and over 150 feet deep, but its exact depth remains unknown due to constant boiling. When you stand before it, the thick steam and roaring bubbles make you feel like facing Earth's fury from below. It sits above a massive fumarole vent, formed by an active geological fault releasing superheated gas from deep underground. The unstable terrain and risk of sudden ground collapse make this place one of the most extreme and unsafe destinations on the planet. Come to Dasht-e-Lut, Iran, the place where ground temperatures once reached the hottest ever recorded on Earth. Life is completely wiped out here, as no plant, animal, or bacteria can survive long in the central core of Lut. The ground is dark, like burnt ash, and reflects sunlight so intensely that thermal cameras have failed after just a few minutes. The sand is so hot that walking without protective shoes can cause second-degree burns in only a few minutes. The desert floor contains ancient salt layers, heated enough to create a strange fog-like shimmer, even though there is no water. Any journey into Lut requires a licensed desert guide, drinking water, satellite communication, and thermal survival equipment. Ilha da Queima de Grande, also known as Snake Island, is off-limits to people because each feet may hide a deadly venomous predator. This is the only place where Bothrops insularis lives, one of the most venomous snakes on Earth, able to kill in just a few hours. Most of the island is covered in dense forest, thick leaf litter, and rough terrain that gives snakes perfect places to hide and ambush. Without any natural predators, the snakes evolved fast strikes and powerful venom to kill birds instantly before they can fly away. Many rocks on the island are mossy or cracked, making them perfect daytime shelters where snakes are almost invisible to the eye. For safety, the Brazilian government completely bans visitors, only allowing approved researchers under strict conditions to enter. Gaza Hanging Bridge is a long and high suspension bridge stretched across a deep valley in the Himalayas, linking two steep mountain slopes in Nepal. The bridge is about 440 feet long and hangs nearly 230 feet above the ground. One wrong step could send you falling straight down. Beneath the shaking wooden planks lies a V-shaped valley covered with dense forest, loose rocks, and a rushing mountain stream. Through the fog and the sound of cowbells, walking across feels like balancing on a tightrope between life and death. Death Valley is located in the United States and is known worldwide as the hottest place ever recorded, turning the air into visible heat waves. The native Timbisha Shoshone people have lived here for centuries, adapting to desert plants and rare water sources. The average rainfall here is only about 2 inches per year, barely enough to support any natural life. American television once used this desert as a stand-in for the surface of Mars in science fiction movies. There have been tourists who died from heat stroke and dehydration after just 2 hours of walking under the midday sun. Although over 1 million people visit each year, all roads require four-wheel drive, and regular tires can explode from heat pressure after a few miles. Kawah Ijen is one of the strangest and most dangerous places on Earth, located in the eastern part of Java Island, Indonesia. It is an active acid volcano, standing over 9,000 feet tall, with a crater filled with concentrated sulfuric acid. This is also the world's largest natural acid lake, glowing turquoise blue, but dangerously corrosive to anything that falls in. Sulfur gas, escaping from underground cracks, burns above 1,100 degrees Fahrenheit, creating a rare phenomenon called blue fire. Miners carry up to 200 pounds of sulfur on bare shoulders, surrounded by toxic gas, slippery rocks, and a strong rotten egg smell. Sometimes visibility drops to just a few feet because of thick white smoke, and one gust of wind can send tourists wandering off the trail. At Devil's Pool in Zambia, visitors can lie right next to a drop of about 350 feet, looking straight down into the swirling water below, looking down into swirling, falling water. This natural pool only forms during the dry season, when hidden rocks slow the current and create a deadly thin boundary. The strong current is only a few inches from the calm area and can pull a person over the edge in seconds. In the dry months, an underwater rock shelf forms a still zone, turning it into a natural swimming spot near the cliff. Local people once believed the waterfall was sacred, home to ancestral spirits, and avoided getting too close to its edge. The rocks are slippery with moss, and trying to stand for a photo can make you lose balance right beside the drop. Step into the underground of Mexico at Nika Crystal Cave, where gypsum crystals over 35 feet long rise like giant bone structures. The cave lies nearly 1,000 feet below ground, with temperatures reaching very high and humidity near 100%. Quickly draining human energy. Local people once believed these crystals were the eyes of ancient gods, sealed deep within the earth. The crystal surfaces are slippery and sharp, and the heat can cause hallucinations that make moving around very dangerous. Without cooling suits and breathing masks, people can lose consciousness in less than 10 minutes just by walking inside. Cerro Torre is one of the harshest mountains on Earth, located in southern Argentina, and is famous for being almost impossible to climb. Climbers say this place has a very high failure rate because of strong winds, thick ice, and weather that can suddenly change in minutes. Cerro Torre stands about 10,000 feet tall and has no gentle slopes, which makes every side of the mountain nearly vertical. Air pressure at the summit is only around 60% of sea level, which causes dangerous oxygen loss in the body. The peak is often hidden by low clouds and heavy snow mist, which can block GPS signals and confuse drone sensors. Experts say it takes at least 4 days of hiking through glaciers and frozen forests just to reach the base, with no shelters or supply points. Danako Depression in Ethiopia has the highest average yearly temperature on Earth, sometimes going over 120 degrees Fahrenheit. This area lies more than 400 feet below sea level and holds acid pools with pH near 0 that can dissolve metal. The surface crust looks solid, but can collapse, revealing boiling water, toxic gas, or deadly acid mud underneath. Some tourists have suffered chemical burns within seconds after stepping into glowing neon-colored pools by mistake. The air is thick with sulfur, smells like rotten eggs, and the hot, smoky ground feels like walking inside an oven. Tours usually begin at 4 a.m. to avoid extreme heat, and each visitor must bring at least 1 gallon of water and a gas mask. Schafberg Mountain in Austria is a limestone peak standing nearly 6,000 feet tall, where a single misstep can send you falling into a deep abyss. Its average slope is 60 degrees, with many vertical segments forming cliff faces that lack any kind of foothold or support. Snow and moisture make the stone surface extremely slippery. There have been deadly accidents caused by selfies taken at popular viewpoints. From the summit, you can see up to 7 large lakes, offering a breathtaking 360-degree view among the finest in Europe. Although this peak is a famous tourist icon, many viewing spots have no safety rails at all, making it incredibly risky for casual visitors. Rescue teams perform over 20 missions each year here, mostly due to people slipping or losing their way in the thick mountain fog. Hawaii Volcanoes National Park in the United States is where people can see the ground split open and smoke rise from hot lava. Some areas of the ground stay hot because of underground magma activity, and touching it can cause serious burns. In 2018, an eruption destroyed more than 700 homes and forced thousands of people to evacuate quickly. At times, lava reached the ocean, causing steam explosions, toxic gas, and acid rain to form right above the beach. Every year, people slip or get burned by stepping on hot rock, so no one should visit this place alone. In 1987, UNESCO named it a World Heritage Site for its unique geological, cultural, and biological value. In China, Tianmen Mountain is identified as a unique rock mountain structure where a massive natural stone arch completely pierces through a solid mountain body. The mountain's global significance does not come from elevation, but from its rare mountain with a gate landform within rocky terrains on Earth. This fully open structure appears so balanced that it was once suspected to be artificial, even though its formation is entirely natural. The stone arch rises about 430 feet high and spans nearly 200 feet wide, far exceeding typical natural arch dimensions. Historically, Tianmen Mountain has been regarded as a symbol representing the connection between heaven and earth in Eastern philosophical thought. Geological projection models suggest the arch could remain structurally stable for several 100,000 more years without major disturbances. Cave of the Swallows in Mexico is considered one of the deepest vertical sinkholes ever recorded in the Americas. The entrance is only about 160 feet wide, but the cavity widens downward like an inverted bell. With a depth of 1,220 feet, it ranks as the second deepest vertical sinkhole in the world. The cave was formed from Cretaceous limestone that developed through natural erosion over roughly 65 million years. Above the opening lies dense tropical forest, making the sinkhole appear suddenly within otherwise flat terrain. All exploration or survey missions must rely on ropes or aerial access due to the lack of internal exits. Mount Sinabung in northern Sumatra, Indonesia, became well known for erupting again in 2010 after 400 years of silence. More than 30,000 residents within a 5-mile zone had to evacuate due to repeated explosive eruptions. The mountain is a stratovolcano made from thousands of years of layered lava ash and solidified rock. Today, Mount Sinabung stands as a raw symbol of nature's powerful resurgence in Southeast Asia. Located on the western side of the Faroe Islands, Gassadalur is recognized for a waterfall dropping directly from the plateau into the ocean, forming a rare vertical landscape feature. Three mountains rising above 2,000 feet surround the valley and create a natural enclosure that kept the settlement isolated for generations. This isolation once limited the population to only a few dozen residents and shaped a small community adapted to the demands of deep sea and high ridge environments. For many decades, moving supplies required crossing mountains on foot or traveling by sea, turning each transport effort into hours of work dependent on stable conditions. The landscape combines steep cliffs and plateau grasslands, producing two contrasting geomorphic surfaces within only a few hundred feet toward the open ocean. The unusually straight cliff faces support long-term seabird colonies, providing valuable material for researchers studying nesting behavior and ecological variation. Dolomites is a jagged limestone mountain range rising like sharp teeth, forming one of the most rugged landscapes in the Italian Alps. The range was formed from fossilized ancient coral reefs that once lay under the Tethys Ocean about 250 million years ago. Its tallest peak reaches around 11,000 feet, yet the vertical cliffs create an illusion of standing at the edge of a bottomless void. During World War I, trenches and bunkers were carved directly into the rock, leaving behind haunting traces of a frozen battlefield. Recognized by UNESCO in 2009, the site balances extreme beauty and silent peril with every step across its sharp-edged trails. Fatal avalanches have struck even in summer, due to sudden ice melt and weak rock, giving hikers no warning and no escape. Laneying Cliff Road clings to a vertical canyon wall where over 3,000 feet separate the summit from the canyon floor. Built by 23 households using hand tools over several years, it connected their remote village to the outside world. The road spans about 3,900 feet, extremely steep and narrow, making every movement feel like floating above air. In September 2018, heavy rain caused a rock slide that erased a 10-foot section within 3 minutes, leaving a gaping hole beside the cliff. With no guardrails or warning signs, a single steering mistake can send a vehicle straight into the abyss. With its unforgiving terrain and a true tale of survival, Laneying Cliff Road tests both human will and trust in the path ahead. Poveglia covers about 17 acres, but most of it has turned into marshland and eroded soil, making construction and habitation impossible. In the 18th century, tens of thousands of plague victims were sent here to be isolated and cremated, turning the island into a place of mass death. A psychiatric hospital operated from 1922 to 1968, where many mysterious deaths and unrecorded experiments took place. Over 50% of the topsoil is believed to consist of cremated human remains from centuries of burning. Abnormal levels of chlorine and ammonia still linger in the old hospital grounds, potentially damaging the nervous system with prolonged exposure. The Italian government strictly bans all access to Poveglia, where history, decay, and desolation fuse into a permanent psychological haunting. The Mongolian steppe covers more than 600,000 square miles and spreads across a dry plateau averaging over 3,300 feet in elevation. Its ecosystem is under serious threat from natural desertification that expands each year and cannot be easily reversed. The terrain is so flat that a person on horseback can be seen from more than 12 miles away with the naked eye. In winter, some nights drop below -50 degrees Fahrenheit, making survival outdoors nearly impossible without a fire and a proper tent. Grass roots grow only 2 to 4 inches deep, allowing wind to lift fine dust clouds visible even from NASA satellites. This steppe was once the cradle of the Mongol Empire, where the largest military expansions in human history began. Réunion is a volcanic island of France, located in the Indian Ocean, best known for having one of the 3 most active volcanoes on Earth. Piton de la Fournaise rises over 8,600 feet and has erupted more than 170 times since 1640, with an average interval of 9 months. Annual rainfall in mountain zones can reach up to 24 feet, making it one of the wettest places on the planet. Over 300 streams run through volcanic rock, forming countless waterfalls and vertical gorges rarely seen elsewhere. Its population of about 870,000 blends African, Asian, European, and Malagasy roots into a unique cultural identity. Some volcanic stone structures from the 18th century still stand, showing how architecture adapted to the island's rugged landscape. In the United Kingdom, Bolton Strid is widely known as a very narrow river section that belongs among the most dangerous flowing waters in the world. Its reputation does not come from surface size, but from the mismatch between what appears visible and the real level of danger beneath. For many centuries, surrounding communities have passed down warnings that approaching this river section can result in loss of life. Bolton Strid is not considered an adventure tourism site because risk levels are high and safe rescue options are almost non-existent. When water is forced through an extremely narrow channel, flow speed rises sharply under the principle of liquid flow conservation. Constant swirling currents prevent sediment buildup, keeping the riverbed permanently deep and structurally smooth. In the central desert of Turkmenistan, the Darvaza gas crater is recognized for a natural gas pit that has burned continuously for more than 50 years, forming a rare geological phenomenon. The crater measures about 230 feet across, creating an open space where methane escapes steadily and sustains long-lasting combustion. The uninterrupted flames make the site resemble an exposed gas well, helping researchers examine self-sustaining ignition within deep sediment layers. Extreme heat forces scientific teams to rely on sensor-equipped robots to gather gas samples from the bottom, avoiding conditions unsafe for humans. Strong desert winds can tilt the flames, causing uneven heating along the crater walls and leaving patterns useful for studying burned sediment. Proposals to extinguish the fire were rejected because calculations suggested the intervention could trigger further collapse and expand the crater, increasing geological risk. Blue Hole lies off the Red Sea coast of eastern Egypt and is globally known as the most dangerous deep marine sinkhole for divers. The hole is nearly circular, measuring about 330 feet across and deeper than 430 feet, far beyond recreational diving limits. Blue Hole formed through underground limestone collapse combined with seawater erosion over millions of years. Because there is little open sea current, nitrogen can build up at depth and impair a diver's judgment and awareness. Extreme depth absorbs red light, completely creating the dark blue appearance, often mistaken as a sign of safety. Its steep underwater walls support rare coral and fish species, forming an ecosystem largely isolated from surrounding waters. Located on the border of Argentina and Brazil, Iguazu Falls is known as the widest waterfall system in the world, stretching almost 2 miles. The falls were created when ancient basalt fractures split the river, forming more than 270 individual drops in one region. Its geological and hydrological importance earned recognition from UNESCO and turned the site into a reference point for basalt landscape studies. Long basalt cracks fragment the river into parallel streams, producing hundreds of falls and a clear pattern of retreating erosion. Historical accounts describe the area as a natural barrier, showing the influence of the waterfall system on older trade routes. Constant moisture throughout the year supports vegetation adapted to humid conditions, creating a distinct ecosystem shaped by the large waterfall complex. Pamukkale is located in Turkey and is famous worldwide for its travertine terraces, formed entirely by natural mineral processes that are still active today. The underground water at Pamukkale appears bright white because it contains high levels of dissolved calcium rising through deep fractures in the Earth's crust. As the water reaches the surface, calcium slowly settles and builds up, creating layered stone formations over long periods of time. People recognized the value of this mineral water early and used it for healing daily life and social activities since ancient times. In terms of landscape, Pamukkale does not resemble mountains or valleys, but instead forms continuous natural terraces shaped like shallow basins. This ongoing formation process makes Pamukkale an important subject in geology for understanding how minerals shape the Earth's surface. Fraser Island, also known as Kagari, lies off the coast of Australia and is famous worldwide as the largest sand island on Earth, with rainforests growing directly on sand. The island covers about 710 square miles and is formed almost entirely from marine sand built up over hundreds of thousands of years. Because of its unique landforms and ecosystems, the island has been recognized by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site. The sand originated from the Australian mainland, eroded by natural forces, and carried offshore through long geological cycles. Humans have lived on the island for over 5,000 years, relying mainly on rainwater and natural resources. Forests grow directly on sand with deep root systems that stabilize the land and show the extraordinary self-organizing power of nature. Lake Nyos is located in Cameroon and became globally known for a sudden carbon dioxide eruption in 1986 that caused a rare natural disaster. The enclosed terrain with tall cliffs traps the gas, turning the lake into a dangerous underground reservoir. The event suffocated more than 1,700 people and thousands of animals within hours. To prevent recurrence, a degassing system was installed in 2001 and expanded with 2 additional pipes in 2011. Zipolite lies on Mexico's Pacific coast and is globally known as the only legally recognized public nude beach since the late 20th century. The absence of coral reefs or barrier islands allows full ocean wave energy to strike the shoreline without natural reduction. These powerful waves and dangerous currents created the lasting nickname Beach of the Dead, tied directly to harsh sea conditions. The shoreline stretches continuously without enclosed bays or breakwaters, letting the open ocean act on the entire sandy coast. Social space here promotes equality by minimizing differences in appearance, age, and social status among visitors. Zipperlight is unusual because it combines social freedom with a landscape that remains largely untouched by large-scale development. Silfrafischer Depth Zone is located in Iceland and is famous worldwide for allowing direct access to the boundary between two separating tectonic plates. It is one of the few places on Earth where a plate boundary is not buried beneath the ocean or thick sediment layers. The landscape is unusual because the water inside the fissure does not come from rivers or rain, but from ancient glacial meltwater. This water travels through volcanic rock for tens of years before entering the fissure, undergoing long, natural filtration. As a result, most suspended particles are removed, allowing the rock structure and depth of the fissure to be clearly visible. Silfra is considered a natural geological laboratory, where the movement of the Earth can be observed directly. Yosemite National Park lies along the western flank of the Sierra Nevada and is known for massive granite terrain shaped by tectonic uplift and glaciers over millions of years. Covering more than 1,100 square miles, it stands among the largest continuous granite landforms protected in the United States. The park preserves distinct U-shaped valleys that help scientists understand how ancient ice carved the landscape. It was inscribed as a World Heritage Site in 1984 for its geological, hydrological, biological, and scientific significance. Sediment cores from the valley floor hold ancient pollen that reveals climate shifts spanning thousands of years. Modern measurements show the valley floor rising a few millimeters each year as the region slowly rebounds after past glaciation. El Caminito del Rey is a narrow cliffside walkway famous for combining extreme height with a risky and exposed setting. The path is only about 3 feet wide and hangs over 330 feet high, making many visitors dizzy from the very first steps. This walkway lies within an ancient limestone canyon, shaped by tectonic shifts over millions of years. It was abandoned and badly damaged for decades, becoming an unofficial survival challenge for thrill seekers. While walking, you'll see vertical rock walls towering on both sides like massive stone gates trapping you in. Even after renovation, many hikers turn back halfway, overwhelmed by the psychological stress from the height and exposed terrain. Trift Bridge is one of the most striking suspension bridges in Switzerland, where you feel the sway from the very first step. The bridge stretches 560 feet and hangs over 330 feet high, making many visitors pause halfway to regain composure. The walkway fits only one person at a time, and when strong winds hit, you must grip the cables tightly to stay stable. The surrounding terrain is bare rock, with low grip, so walking in foggy conditions carries a real risk of slipping. There are no enclosed railings, and the view goes straight down into the valley, causing constant stress throughout the crossing. Trift Bridge is a true test of mental and physical strength, especially risky if you choose to cross it alone. Mount Vesuvius is one of the few active volcanoes in Europe where every step carries the risk of underlying geological tension. The trail to the summit is covered with loose rubble, forcing you to watch your footing constantly to avoid slipping down the slope. The sparse vegetation leaves the space wide open, and many hikers get disoriented, especially when fog rolls in and blocks visibility. Sulfur vents leak gas non-stop from the rocks, and without a proper filter mask, it can quickly irritate your breathing. The crater edge is steep and exposed, making you feel unsteady, as if a single strong gust of wind could throw you off balance. Several parts of the trail are broken into fan-shaped cracks from underground pressure, leaving uneven ground where tripping becomes a real risk. Vadzia is one of the most unusual structures in the Caucasus, carved directly into a mountainside and functioning as an underground city since the 12th century. Reaching it requires climbing hundreds of worn stone steps, where even one slip can cause you to lose full control. The sloped rock surface lacks guardrails, making the site highly unsafe during minor earthquakes or heavy rainfall. Inside are over 600 chambers and a maze of tunnels, forming a network so complex it's hard to grasp fully. Some passages are too low to stand, forcing you to crouch through darkness in spaces carved by hand to match natural rock layers. Certain areas remain undeveloped or poorly lit, and one visitor got stuck for hours after trying to explore the narrow tunnels alone. Montserrat Monastery is an ancient sanctuary clinging to the high rock mountains of Spain, representing the union between religious devotion and unforgiving terrain. Perched at about 2,500 feet above ground, the narrow, sloping access path can easily unsettle those who fear heights. The steep mountain structure, combined with sudden gusts of wind, means every step near the edge carries a real risk of losing balance. Centuries-old stone stairways have worn smooth, making a single misstep on damp surfaces potentially dangerous. Towering rock pillars surround the monastery like stone giants, creating the feeling of being swallowed by harsh, untamed nature. This monastery was never designed for convenience, but to endure on bare rock, where each step forward tests the limits of human determination. Gol dell'Alcantara is a rare basalt gorge in Italy, created by ancient lava flows nearly 8,000 years ago. Some sections are less than 6.5 feet wide, and a slip means there's no edge to hold for balance. The basalt blocks formed from fast-cooling lava have razor-sharp edges, and even light contact can scrape or cut your skin. Rock walls up to 80 feet high enclose the gorge, making visitors feel completely trapped inside a vertical stone passage. Before the 1950s, the area was considered off-limits due to its harsh terrain, and locals avoided it without ropes or guides. The scenery looks almost unreal, but its beauty hides danger. Every step is a gamble between breathtaking views and real physical risk. Skeleton Coast is where the desert meets the ocean, where you step into a land where death once walked for real. There is no natural freshwater within dozens of miles, so visitors must carry enough water and GPS tools to survive. This land is home to desert-adapted elephants and lions, a rare evolution in a place nearly impossible to live. Whale and seal skeletons still lie untouched along the shore, preserved by dry air and the absence of decomposing bacteria. Sand dunes up to 300 feet tall drop straight into the ocean, giving visitors the sense that the desert is pouring into the sea. Some reptiles here absorb water from fog through their skin, surviving for weeks without surface water, a shocking thing to witness in person. Rio Tinto is one of the few rivers on Earth with blood-red water shocking visitors with its color at first glance. The river stretches about 60 miles, and its entire length is tinted red due to reactions between minerals and special microbes. The European Space Agency once used this location to simulate Mars conditions because of its nearly identical geochemistry. This river once supplied metals to ancient Roman and Phoenician civilizations, helping lay the foundation for Europe's early metallurgy. Its riverbed mixes red, black, and orange, reflecting light like a surreal painting that makes visitors question what they see. Despite its deadly look, the river draws thousands each year, drawn by its eerie beauty and haunting natural mystery. The Amazon rainforest is so vast that survey teams often need weeks just to map a single small section. Constant bites from mosquitoes and flies can trigger fever or allergic reactions for unacclimated visitors within hours. Tree roots cling to only a thin topsoil layer, making some trails collapse under heavy tropical rain. In certain zones, the soil contains natural heavy metals, causing unusual plant and insect mutations to evolve over time. The animal density is so high that many first-time explorers feel overwhelmed by the non-stop sounds surrounding them. Trees over 230 feet tall form a continuous canopy, blocking sunlight from ever reaching the forest floor below. Castellfollit de la Roca is one of the most dramatic cliffside villages in Spain, built vertically on solid volcanic rock. Many houses sit just a few feet from the edge, giving visitors a chilling feeling when standing near a balcony or window. The 165-foot-high cliff was formed by overlapping lava flows, creating a rare double-layer basalt formation. The entire village was constructed from local basalt rock, a dense and difficult material that required advanced skills in medieval times. Its dark stone walls stand out sharply against the red soil and green forest, creating the illusion of a fortress rising from nature. Castellfollit represents how humans once settled in extreme locations to gain strategic advantage and survive conflict.